Something serious is happening with Pastor Joel Osteen.
Jesus came that we might live an abundant life.
Here are 7 reasons why Joel Osteen is a false teacher. He is greedy.
So do you make any apologies for your grand piano? I really don't.
He teaches a false gospel.
Right now, as you're watching this video, hundreds, possibly thousands of people who once called Lakewood Church their spiritual home are walking away, and they're not coming back. The man who built a billion-dollar empire on the phrase, "This is my Bible," the man whose smile has graced more living rooms than almost any pastor in American history, Joel Osteen, is now watching his congregation fracture, splinter, and dissolve right before his eyes. And it's not because of a theological disagreement. It's not because people found a better church down the road. No. It's because of a scandal so deeply uncomfortable, so fundamentally disturbing, that even his most loyal supporters, the people who defended him through Hurricane Harvey, through the prosperity gospel criticisms, through everything, even they are saying, "I can't do this anymore." What happened inside the walls of Lakewood Church? What was discovered that has shaken this religious empire to its absolute core? And why are the people who once raised their hands in worship now raising their voices in outrage? Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you will change the way you look at megachurches, celebrity pastors, and the business of faith forever. To understand the magnitude of what's happening right now, you need to understand just how massive Joel Osteen's empire truly is, because this isn't just some local church controversy. This is one of the largest religious institutions in the United States cracking at its very foundation. Lakewood Church, located in Houston, Texas, sits inside the former Compaq Center, the same arena where the Houston Rockets once played NBA basketball. Every single weekend, approximately 45,000 people fill those seats. Joel Osteen's televised sermons reach over 100 countries. His books have sold tens of millions of copies. His net worth, estimated at over $100 million. He lives in a $10.5 million mansion in River Oaks, one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Houston. He wears tailored suits. His wife, Victoria, co-pastors alongside him with designer outfits and a smile just as polished as his. For decades, Joel Osteen has been the face of what many call the feel-good gospel. No fire and brimstone, no guilt, no condemnation, just positivity, blessings, and the unwavering message that God wants you to be happy, healthy, and wealthy. And millions of people bought into it, literally. But here's the thing about empires built on image. When the image cracks, the whole thing doesn't just wobble, it collapses. And what has been revealed about Lakewood Church is the kind of crack that no amount of positive thinking can fix. Let's go back to November 2021. A plumber, just a regular working man, was called to Lakewood Church to fix a loose toilet. Think about that for a second, a plumber fixing a toilet. That's how this whole thing unraveled. Behind the wall of a bathroom inside the church, this plumber discovered something that should never have been there. Approximately 500 envelopes stuffed with cash and checks. Hundreds of thousands of dollars just hidden behind drywall like some kind of crime movie stash. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Back in March 2014, Lakewood Church had reported a theft. They told police that $600,000 in cash and checks, money collected from weekend services, had been stolen. $600,000 gone, and at the time the story just kind of faded away. No arrests were made, no one was charged. The insurance company paid out $105,000 and everyone moved on. But when that plumber pulled those envelopes out of the wall 7 years later, questions started exploding like fireworks on the 4th of July. Who put that money there? Was it really stolen or was it hidden? Was this an inside job? Did church leadership know more than they let on? And most importantly, was this money that faithful, hardworking church members had donated in good faith, believing it would go toward ministry, charity, and the work of God? The Houston Police Department reopened the investigation. And while law enforcement worked the case, something even more damaging was happening. The court of public opinion was delivering its verdict, and it was brutal. Former members started speaking out. Social media erupted. People who had tithed faithfully, some giving 10% of their income, some giving even more, started asking a question that cut deeper than any sermon Joel Osteen had ever preached. Where is our money actually going? And that question, where is our money going, opened a Pandora's box that Lakewood Church was not prepared for. See, here's something most people don't realize about Lakewood Church. As a religious organization, it is tax-exempt. That means it does not have to publicly disclose its financial records the way a secular nonprofit does. There is no legal requirement for Joel Osteen to tell you, me, or anyone else exactly how much money comes in, where it goes, or how much leadership pays itself. And Joel Osteen has consistently maintained that he does not take a salary from the church. He says his income comes from book sales. Okay, fine, but what about the church's overall finances? What about the tens of millions of dollars that flow into Lakewood every single year from tithes, offerings, donations, and merchandise? The money behind the wall discovery forced people to confront an uncomfortable reality. They had been giving their hard-earned money to an institution that operated with almost zero financial transparency. And for many, that was the breaking point. Former members began sharing their stories online. One woman, who asked to remain anonymous, posted a video that went viral saying, and I'm paraphrasing here, "I gave that church 20% of everything I made for 12 years. I was a single mother. There were months I couldn't pay my electric bill because I believed Pastor Joel when he said God would bless my giving. And now I find out they can't even account for $600,000. I'm done." She wasn't alone. Dozens, then hundreds, then thousands of similar stories began surfacing. People who had sacrificed financially because they believed in the message. People who had driven past smaller churches that actually needed their support to attend the megachurch spectacle at Lakewood. People who now felt used. And here's the thing, this financial scandal didn't exist in a vacuum. It reopened wounds that had never fully healed. Remember Hurricane Harvey in 2017. When one of the worst natural disasters in American history slammed into Houston, when neighborhoods were underwater, when families were stranded on rooftops, when people were desperate for shelter, Lakewood Church, this massive arena that could hold 16,000 people, initially did not open its doors. Social media went nuclear. Photos circulated showing the church appearing dry and accessible while the surrounding community drowned. Joel Osteen said the church was inaccessible due to flooding. He said they were preparing to be a shelter, but the damage was done. Eventually, Lakewood did open its doors and served as a shelter, but the perception, the image, had cracked. For the first time, millions of people looked at Joel Osteen and didn't see a smiling shepherd. They saw a man protecting his property while his neighbors suffered. He recovered from that, his loyal base forgave him, they moved on. But when the money behind the wall scandal broke, people remembered Harvey. They connected the dots. They started to see a pattern of a church that talked about generosity and blessing, but seemed to prioritize self-preservation when it mattered most. And that is what triggered the exodus. Let me be clear about something. The people leaving Lakewood Church are not anti-God. They're not anti-church. Many of them still love Jesus. Many of them still pray, still read their Bibles, still believe in the power of faith. What they've lost faith in is the institution, the machine, the brand. And when you talk to these people, and many content creators, journalists, and podcasters have, the pain in their voices is real. This isn't internet outrage for clicks. This is genuine heartbreak. One former usher who served at Lakewood for over 8 years said, "I gave that place my weekends, my time, my energy. I showed up early, stayed late, greeted people with a smile, and the whole time I thought I was serving God. Now I feel like I was serving a corporation." A former youth group leader shared, "The kids I mentored, they're confused. They looked up to Pastor Joel, they believed every word. And now their parents are pulling them out, and these kids don't understand why the adults are so angry. It's heartbreaking." Another member, a man in his 60s who had attended Lakewood since before it moved into the Compact Center, said something that stopped me in my tracks. "I don't know where to go now. Lakewood was my family, but family doesn't hide money in walls and live in mansions while telling you to sow your seed." These stories are multiplying. Every week, more people share their experiences. And every week, the seats at Lakewood get a little bit emptier. But this scandal isn't just about Joel Osteen. It's about something much bigger. It's about the entire prosperity gospel movement being put on trial in the court of public opinion. The prosperity gospel, the idea that God rewards faithful believers with material wealth, health, and success, has been one of the most controversial theological movements of the last 50 years. And Joel Osteen is its most visible ambassador. For years, critics, theologians, scholars, other pastors have warned that the prosperity gospel is dangerous. They've argued that it preys on vulnerable people, that it tells the poor that their poverty is a result of insufficient faith, that it transforms the sacred act of giving into a transaction. You give money to the church and God gives you money back, pressed down, shaken together, running over. And for years, those critics were dismissed as jealous, judgmental, or just negative. But now the criticism isn't coming from outsiders, it's coming from the inside. It's coming from the very people who sat in those seats, who bought those books, who repeated those affirmations, who sowed those seeds. And that is far more damaging than any outside attack could ever be. Because when your own people turn on you, when the sheep start questioning the shepherd, that's not a PR problem. That's an existential crisis. So what has Joel Osteen said about all of this? What has been his response to the financial questions, the growing exodus, the mounting criticism? And this, perhaps, is the most frustrating part of the entire story. His response has been almost nothing. Joel Osteen continues to preach his weekly sermons. He continues to smile. He continues to post motivational content on social media. He continues to sell books, business as usual. When asked about the money found behind the wall, Lakewood Church released carefully worded statements directing people to law enforcement and saying the church was cooperating with the investigation. No personal video from Joel addressing his congregation's concerns. No town hall, no financial transparency initiative. No independent audit announced. Just silence wrapped in a smile. And for the people who are hurting, who are questioning, who are walking away, that silence speaks louder than any sermon ever could. It says, I don't owe you an explanation. And maybe legally he doesn't, but spiritually, pastorally, as a shepherd to his flock, that silence is devastating. It confirms every suspicion. It validates every doubt. It tells every person who ever gave their last dollar to Lakewood Church that their concerns don't matter enough for a real response. Here's what I think we need to sit with as we process all of this. Joel Osteen didn't build Lakewood Church alone. We built it. The collective we, society, culture, consumers of religious content. We elevated celebrity pastors to a status they were never meant to hold. We turned churches into entertainment venues. We measured spiritual success by the size of the building, the production quality of the service, and the number of followers on Instagram. We created a system where a pastor could live in a $10 million mansion and nobody blinked, because we were told that his wealth was proof of God's blessing. We were told that questioning the pastor was the same as questioning God. And now that system is showing its cracks. The exodus from Lakewood Church is not just about Joel Osteen. It's about a reckoning. It's about people waking up and asking fundamental questions that they should have been asking all along. Does my church operate with financial transparency? Does my pastor live a lifestyle consistent with the values he preaches? Am I giving because I genuinely want to support ministry, or because I've been emotionally manipulated into believing I'll be cursed if I don't? These are uncomfortable questions, but they are necessary questions, and the fact that it took a plumber and a loose toilet to force us to ask them should tell us something about how deeply asleep we've been. So where does this go from here? Lakewood Church is not going to disappear overnight. Joel Osteen still has millions of supporters, his books still sell, his broadcasts still air. The machine is too big to simply stop. But the trajectory is clear. Trust once broken is almost impossible to rebuild, especially when the person who broke it refuses to acknowledge the break. More people will leave, more stories will surface, more questions will be asked, and other megachurches, not just Lakewood, will feel the ripple effects, because what's happening here is not isolated, it's a cultural shift. People are demanding accountability from religious institutions in a way they never have before. And frankly, it's long overdue. If this video made you think, even for a second, I need you to do something, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and drop a comment below telling me, have you ever had an experience with a church that made you question everything? I want to hear your story. Because this conversation isn't over, not by a long shot. I'll see you in the next one.